Strategy Sessions by Thirsty Bandit Consulting. Episode 17, Creative Inspiration.
Greetings, everybody. This is Corey Kraychak, and I'm here with Rachel Brown for another episode of Strategy Sessions. Rach, seasonal allergies, autumn fun, right?
Yep.
Are we having a good time over there yet?
We're feeling really good.
Really good.
We're feeling really good. An inhaler's on standby with all of my allergy medicine, so we feel great. Yes.
I don't know if the podcast app has the technology to improve your sinus, your nasaliness, but
That would be incredible.
we'll do our best. We'll do our best today. So
Appreciate
Rachel
it.
Brown, being the trooper that she always is, in the foxhole with us for Thirsty Bandit Strategy Sessions, episode number 17, lucky 17.
Crazy.
And really, during this journey for us, Rach, I mean, we've been tackling a lot of interesting topics, but a lot of operationally driven, strategy-centric topics, as the name of the podcast insinuates. We've been talking about AI, and we've been talking about seasonal and pop-up retail, and we've been talking about the role that operational balance plays, like service v hospitality, and tools that can be used, and really a little bit of also like corporate philosophy.
Yeah.
But I really want to veer away from that in this conversation. I want to have a little bit more fun today. Not that those topics aren't fun and super important, but I want to get down to the root of the matter, right? The thing, the lifeblood of this industry, in my opinion, starts with creativity, the ability to create, the ability to make something that's a reflection of yourself, the land, the artisanship, the craftsmanship. And we were talking off air about how in this industry you sort of have, there are kind of two things, right? There's sort of that artistry piece, but then there's the chemistry piece, the engineering piece of like, how do you make the perfect blend, and what yeast strains, and what are you going to do to manipulate. But the artistry and the craftsmanship is the thing that I always go back to, that gives you that sort of the most authentic, original inspiration to keep moving with the brand.
I always think of Wine Folly had this shirt, and it's probably buried somewhere, but it was like a Venn diagram. It was like art plus science equals wine. And I love that, because it is not just always the mad science chemistry side of it, but there is such a creativity behind what they're doing, how they're doing it. And then that goes outside the bottle, like, and even onto the labels, because it's supposed to be an embodiment of like what you're creating.
Yes. Yeah, no, you're totally right. And for the sake of today's conversation, our guest has kind of been thrown into this space. I kind of drug her along, and shame on her for having such an interesting social media page and the work that she's done sort of across a bunch of different mixed medias. But, we've had the pleasure of working with her on a couple of really cool projects where we take her artistic expression and the things that make her uniquely her and apply them to package design and branding, and we come up with things that are unique and very reflective of what the emotions that we wanted to evoke from those packages. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, when we get into the conversation, but I want to get her in on the dialogue now. So Miss Natalie Hope McDonald is with us this morning. Natalie, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys.
Natalie, you've been super busy, man. Like you're like, if you're not like selling things to Spike Lee, you're doing artist. You got your own exhibit going on in downtown Philly at Pie Gallery right now. Can you talk about what's been going on the last few months in your world?
It has been really busy. Well, for the last few months, I was getting ready for this solo exhibition. It's a mix of all new art I've been wanting to show for a while, so I'm super excited. And I'm always doing a million things at once, actually. I think that most folks who are in the creative fields and who don't have one of the more traditional jobs, we probably end up doing a million things. I painted a mural recently at the Union League. I'm working on establishing a project for when I go to London for 2 months. It's sort of an interactive art project with folks, and working on a whole bunch of new paintings and art pieces. And I'm going to be working on something else for you, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and we can talk about that too. I mean, it's Natalie's helping us on a coffee project right now, and we're working through
And I
packaging.
love coffee.
Right? Yeah,
Coffee's
so
my favorite thing,
well,
so
coffee
Me
is
too.
the
it is
fuel,
a
right?
perfect fit.
You're in good company because
You're talking. Rachel's got the tattoo of the coffee cup on the one hand and the wine glass on the other,
That's
or the grape
hardcore.
punch on the other.
That's
Yeah,
hardcore.
yep.
I love that meme though of the two running, like the coffee cup handing the baton off
Yeah,
to
the
the wine
baton off.
glass, and that's
That's what
pretty
it
much
is.
my life in meme form. So, although I drink more coffee these days than I do wine, just from a survival mode, I think, perspective. But Natalie, what's so cool, I think, about your sort of professional journey is you're one of those classic like hyphenated people, right? You're like writer dash artist dash, like you've got so many cool things going on in the creative space. And I alluded to the fact that you work in a bunch of different medias too, right? I mean, you work
Yeah.
in like three-dimensional, you got painting work, you've obviously dipped toe in graphic design, you do mural work. So like I love all of that. I mean, like
Well, thanks.
is it project driven, or do you sort of just let the inspiration take you where you want to go?
It's a combo. I spent years as a journalist, so I worked both in offices for different publications. Then I set out on my own as a freelancer, and I always felt like in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be an artist. And so it was one of those things where I'm doing it part of the time, then half the time, then now it's most of the time, if not all the time. And I think a lot of it is driven by just ideas that I come up with,
Mhm.
that I hope people will be interested in. Some of it is certainly it's commercially based because art is still business, as with everything. Nobody likes to admit it. It's that secret discussion people have about, sales and like, all the icky stuff, right? We always just want to be purely creative, but there is that element too. We have to make a living. So yeah, some of it's driven, some of the projects, like I did that bottle design for you guys. But it was super fun because you guys really wanted me to tap into the kind of work I already do. So it wasn't really a stretch. That's something that's important to me. I wouldn't necessarily branch out into something that wasn't authentic to what I do, but I'm always interested in new ideas and certainly in new mediums. It's nice not
Yeah.
to be so limited to just a few things.
No, and I think that that's one of the things that makes you unique as an artist, and we've sort of alluded to a couple times the wine bottle that you worked on for Chadsford Winery was our red and white standard products, and for a long time we had known that we wanted to deliver something really unique, but we also wanted to convey that these wines were ultra versatile and they were essentially Swiss Army knives, right, for in the wine world. And when we started coming up with concepts, we knew that we wanted to share sort of a bunch of different things to the consumer as to what they could be, but what would be the best way to, convey that. And so what we came up with was, and you had just come off of obviously doing several really larger wall mural
Yeah.
pieces
Hmm.
that sort of had this word art concept, and so we screen printed that directly onto the bottles and collaboratively worked with our tasting room staff, Rachel and I, and several other people to come up with what would be on there. And then you translated those words into a tangible art piece that people take into their homes. They drink something that's been artistically crafted, and then they can actually like look at a bottle, read it, and keep it if they wish
I gotta tell
as
you,
as being a piece of art.
so many people tell me that they purchased it and they're keeping it. Either they never opened it or they opened it and now they're using it for different things. Somebody said that they use it in how to store olive oil. Like they
That's
make their own
awesome.
olive oil and stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I hear from people all the time on social media about it because I guess they track me down and they want to tell me, oh, we have your bottle or whatever. It's so cool. It's neat to see what
That's such a
kind of
good idea.
creativity. That's a great
That
idea,
has
isn't it?
never occurred to me.
I never
Ever.
thought of it because I don't know. That involves cooking and things, I guess, or mixing. I don't know. It sounds amazing. I kind of want to find out how to do that now because I bet that would be really cool and fun.
Yeah. Well, if you
Well,
find out, let me
I
know.
know they sell those like convert to kits, like the spouts that
Yeah, you can
have,
buy a
you know,
spout
yeah,
anywhere. So I
you
think
know,
that's basically, and it fits a wine bottle, so it's perfect.
super
Brilliant.
cool. All right, look,
Yeah. So there you go.
we're
There's an
giving people
idea.
additional
My weekend
recommendations.
craft. I'm making olive oil bottles out of my empty wine bottles. Perfect.
So you know, we thought of you for today's topic, which is sort of creative inspiration. You know, because again, we wanted to sort of delve into something that we haven't really tackled too much on the show. And you sort of just touched upon it briefly, but when you are feeling inspired, right? I mean, what's usually sparking that aha moment for you,
You
right?
know,
Is it the people, or the places, the music? Is it something completely different?
it
You
is a
know,
combination. It really is. I walk a lot. I walk in cities, and I feel like sometimes when I just get out, walking, stopping for a coffee, sitting in a cafe, I read. I don't know. Sometimes it's those moments when I'm just by myself that I come up with an idea. Sometimes it's based on a book I'm reading. It could be something I'm listening to on my earbuds. Music is a huge influence for me in my fine art, but also city life. So I think it's just being able to take all of it in. And it's something I think I used to run from a little bit or didn't want to embrace wholly, that idea that you could be open to any kind of inspiration because it can be a little scary. It's it's a lot of visual noise. It's a lot of it can be overwhelming. But I think if we kind of let ourselves listen to that kind of thing and pay attention to what's going on, it can be really interesting what comes out of it, what your reactions are. And a lot of it is also life stuff, you know, going through different things. I was talking to somebody recently. I have these pieces in my current art show where I collect old wooden boxes and things, and I hang them up almost like they're paintings, but I write inside of them. So people really have to look inside to experience the art. And initially, that idea came from a very unlikely place. My dad had died, and I was packing up his apartment in all these boxes, and I just kept thinking I'm surrounded by boxes. We're all like putting things in boxes all the time and saving them. I think about all the different storage units people have keeping stuff, you know, what
yeah,
we keep. And I just thought this kind of an interesting concept of using a box to sort of represent these ideas or sensibilities. And it came to me at a very unlikely time. I didn't expect that I would be inspired by such a tough moment, but
yeah.
we have
Now,
to
do you jot that down? Like when you have that moment, are you putting it on your phone as like a note to
no, I really didn't.
reminder, or are you
I
just sort
think
of
it was
storing it
just
in the back of your mind?
kind of marinating. I went, oh, there's a lot of boxes here and I'm kind of interested. And then I started seeing boxes, I think, elsewhere. Like I go thrifting, I look for interesting materials. And when I started seeing them, I started putting it together. I think it became more of a step by step, not just, oh, aha, I'm going to make box art.
Mm.
It just, but yeah, I think letting yourself sort of have those moments and seeing where they go is really important. And maybe not
Great. I mean,
thinking too much into it too. Is a
yeah.
delicate balance between the two.
Hmm.
No, I think it's great advice. And I know Rach and I, when we consult and we're talking about branding, I mean, what I think is so important for wine and hospitality to do is not only look at what people in industry are doing
Mm,
to inspire the next thing, right? I mean, you know, you don't want to copycat, you know, that you want to come up with something that's truly yours. And it's honestly, it's way more refreshing, way less regurgitative if you're looking outside of industry and keeping your mind open, right, to everything else that's out in the world and how that could necessarily translate to your brand, right? And I think it's an important piece, but I also think too often in most businesses, most industries, they're like, well, what are our competitors doing? Like,
Yeah.
what are we, like we've got to do that. There's success there. I don't know
And
if
I
you
think
guys saw that. Go ahead.
in the
Sorry.
art world, we're all we're influenced by each other. But I find most of my influence actually does come from the outside world. But exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
What are you paying attention to? What are some of the things people are talking about? Maybe there's a color you saw one day that's just kind of grabbed you, but you may not realize it at the time. But I do
Mhm.
think sometimes it marinates if you allow yourself to open yourself up to that.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
This
Mhm.
is like my bread and butter because this is like I'm on the creative side of all of this. Like I write, so you're talking, and I'm like, this is my whole process. Like this is
Yeah.
like speaking my language. But I think too, like yes, the outside world and all of these things. But are there like specific things? Like are there specific like artists or movements or mediums that like consistently influence you?
Yeah, I go into phases. Like Warhol was always a big one for me, even though I don't work like Warhol. I liked a lot of what he was doing, challenging the narrative at the time of what is art and what isn't. Marcel Duchamp, I love. Philly has a great collection of his work at the art museum, so it's really fun to go see that. He also created these pieces. They're called ready-mades, which basically he just found objects and then decided they were art, and he signed them, and that was it. I thought that was funny, creative. It kind of was a little cheeky in the art world at the time that found itself very serious. So I enjoy the idea that people can challenge the norm a little bit and not let things limit them so much. Maybe to think outside the box, so to speak. Those
Yeah, I
things are
mean,
interesting, but music too. Hip hop is a big one for me.
oh
I
nice.
love the free flow of hip hop and jazz. So music is a huge part of what I do, and I think that could be true for any brand, really, any kind of project. I see that in various ways. I mean, the streetwear industry is really interesting. It's booming. Sneakers. There's all kinds of stuff happening, and it's all influenced by each other. But there's so much else going on there that's super
Ha-
creative.
Have you ever done sneakers? Have you ever drawn on sneakers?
I paint sneakers. Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
love it, and I would love to eventually do some kind of more serious project with sneakers. So it's definitely on my radar. I have a list. I have a list of things I would love to be doing, but yeah, so
All
far
right.
it's all hand done. I'm just trying
Sportswear execs,
Hmm.
hit up Natalie. She's
I'll have to
ready
get
to
you some
collab.
sneakers, guys. I have to get you some.
Thirsty Bandit Street Team. Come on.
Yeah,
Like
there we
I want
go.
a pair of sneakers with Bandit on it. Like let's
Yeah,
go.
man. I like that.
No, no, you careful what you wish for.
We talked a little bit earlier about, I love what you were saying. Like you just go for a walk, take a walk in the city, right? Observe your surroundings. I think we all have these go-to rituals, right? Where we either need to clear our head or come up with an idea. And I find personally, they come at the oddest times sometimes, right? It's not when you have the time to sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to bang out like the next great idea, right? It's the shower moment,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
Or it's the, like
Stuck
I'm
in
in the
traffic.
queue to pick up my kids up from school and I'm all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like something just popped into my brain. But for me, it's always the long run. Like I'm a
Oh
runner
yeah.
and I love getting out there. And it's what's really funny about it, again, this is just my process. And we'll talk about Natalie's process in a second, but I always find like it's not mile one. Like mile one is like figure out my pace, check in on my body, see how things are going to be. Is this going to be a good run today or is it going to be a challenge? Is everything feels good? It's usually like mile two or three when you kind of hit that lucid moment where you almost forget that you've sort of eased into it. Like you're kind of like everything calms for me. And then then it's like rapid fire, like it's really odd. But it sort of always happens like that. So outside of the walking, because we did talk a little bit about the walking, Natalie, are there kind of other go-to rituals or habits or things that you find that really sort of grease the wheels from a
Well,
from a
as you
creative
just said
insult?
about running, I don't run, but I wondered if there's a chemical thing happening I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of chemicals that are released, different
Yeah.
endorphins. I wonder if that has something to do with your creative process. That you have to
Maybe.
get to that point in the run where
Yeah.
maybe
It's like
that's what's
clockwork,
happening.
though.
You
It's
like get a little
really,
lost or you're boosted by this energy. I don't know.
yeah,
That's
you got to
pretty
get
cool.
locked for whatever reason. You just kind of once you get like kind of locked in, for me, it allows my mind to
Mhm.
kind of go elsewhere.
I read a lot of poetry. That usually triggers a lot of interesting ideas. It gets me back to thinking about words in a really intimate way. So usually I'm sitting and writing when I'm reading. Things come to me. I love sitting in cafes and just kind of listening and watching people. Um, it's simple stuff. Honestly, it's not. I don't know. Like it could happen. In the middle of the night, I wake up and I'm like, oh, that's the key. That's the thing that I needed for this particular piece, and I just didn't realize that's what I needed. And
Do you
you
like
just
airports? You ever go into an airport and just observe
I
people?
do. I used to hate flying, so I would be nervous in airports a lot, but now I'm better. And I do. I end up doing a lot of work in airports. I write a
Yeah.
lot when I'm there and I
Yeah.
sketch different ideas. Yeah, it's a very weird time because you're kind of stuck, right?
Hmm.
And you can't go anywhere. There's not much to do, but tons
But
of people
it's
to watch.
so many people to watch. I love being in airports because you're kind of sitting there thinking like, where are they going? What are they going to? Who are they leaving? Where
Yeah.
like I feel like naturally there's just so much human curiosity because like why you're traveling, so it's
Yes.
really easy to kind of like pick somebody, be like, okay, like they have kids, they're going here, maybe they're doing this, but like it is, I think, such like a raw, like untapped creative source to just go
Oh
sit
yeah.
at an airport
People
bar and
are
like give people
absolutely
backstories.
interesting to watch
Yeah.
for sure. You get
Oh, you
snippets
guys
of
make me so
conversation.
happy here because I thought I was a weirdo. Like my
No,
family thinks I'm a weirdo because
No.
I'm like, oh, I want to like I'm excited to go to the airport. It's always funner too. The airport going on a trip as opposed to the airport coming back.
well,
Yes.
yeah,
As
and
long as the
airports
TSA doesn't kill
it
the
depends
vibe.
on the
But
airport too. Some airports are better than others.
well, that's true. That's
Yes,
true too.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Which
absolutely.
really
But
doesn't bring.
I'll
Yeah.
admit I judge people what they're wearing in airports also
Mhm.
because there are some comedians that do amazing sketches about airports and the things people choose to actually show up in public in, like flip flops and pajamas, and it's
Hmm.
wild. Now I hear the comedians in my head as I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, that is literally what they were just talking about." Kind of how
Yeah, I'm always like the people that wear like things that where their skin touches any surface on
I
the
don't
plane.
understand that.
Right?
No,
I'm just like,
can't.
ew, like I don't even want to wear shorts half the
I
time
don't
on
want to
planes.
know that. Yeah, I don't
Right.
want to see anything. I can't even imagine. It's cold. It's often cold in airports. I never understand. Yeah, but it is great. Dive bars too. I love dive bars because they attract so many different kinds of people.
Hmm.
I think this is like literally this is like teed up for my last question for you, which is like what role does your environment play in your inspiration? So like, and ultimately like what is the creative output? So do you prefer a studio, outdoors, the favorite coffee spot? Is it the airport,
Right.
like Terminal E? Like where are we, like where do you feel
I
like you
might
put
do a lot of note taking all these
Mhm.
places, but I ultimately work in my studio. That's where I'm most focused. And sometimes my studio is in my house, but sometimes my studio in many cases moves into the living room. I might be in the kitchen. I might be, it depends on what I'm working on. Am I working with old wooden pieces that I'm pulling apart? So it's a real mix for this last show that I've done. I was all over the place because I was doing really big paintings and my studio is kind of cluttered, if you can tell. So I needed to be doing it in different places throughout the house. So I really took over and but it was still at home and it felt really good to be in the space that I'm used to working in. But I can work anywhere, really. I am more inspired by urban life, though. I recently was in Martha's Vineyard for a little while over the summer, and it was gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous, but I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was just like sitting there, stare. I guess I was resting. I was resting, which helps. You're supposed to do that. Rest your brain, rest your
Yeah.
body. That's important
Yeah.
with creativity.
Yep.
But I also just wasn't sure. Like, I don't know. I was like, what do I write? What project do I want to work on? It was it was too quiet. It was too quiet for me.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking as we're talking through some of these about the podcast we did, Rach, on vibe and aesthetic,
Mhm.
and I also realized that we spend we talk a lot about coffee shops, right, and working
Mhm.
down in coffee shops and being inspired the people coming in, the vibe of those coffee shops. But conversely, and it's got to just be because I'm in this industry and I sort of live and breathe it every day. So every day I go out, I'm looking at it through this lens. But I get upset with places that don't take that piece of their business seriously, and it could be fluorescent lighting
Mm.
versus soft lighting, right? It could be too much signage. It could be not music not being on. It's like every single one of these things. It's like, man, you're just killing the vibe in here. Like, I want to give you business. I want to be inspired by your space. I want to make me a brand ambassador. But by doing that, you got to set the stage for me. And I want to be inspired when I'm in your space,
Yeah.
and in coffee shops and wineries and tasting bars and even dive bars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even dive bars, for as divey as they can be, they've got a vibe to them,
That's the best part. Best part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favorite coffee shop is Cafe Reggio in New York. I can sit there for hours and I order and tip very well because I know I'm sitting there for a while. They also don't care. They're happy that you're there. And they have the best coffee. I love their food. And there's just something about it. You never know who you're going to meet. There are people from all over the world. There are locals. There are writers who are in there. And every time I'm in New York City, I go there and I sit and read and write and come up with ideas. And it works every time. There have been days where I'm sitting here in Philly going, I could just drive over there real quick and maybe like sit for a little while and do some work and I'll probably get a lot done. I don't know, something about that place. It's been around since the 20s, I think, and it hasn't changed.
That's cool.
I mean, but that's the feeling, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Rachel, I mean, when we talk about, like, let's apply that to the wine industry. Like, we
Sure.
talk about this phenomenon, right? Where
Mhm.
people are like, I bought this wine and it wasn't as good when I took it home than when I had it
Yeah.
at the location, because it is so experiential
Mhm.
in
Oh,
nature
that's interesting.
sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, the vibe, the atmosphere, the lighting, the staff, the explanation, the food, if there is a food pairing, like all of these things stack up into what you're experiencing. And then you go home and you pour it and you're like, am I underwhelmed? And it's like, okay, well, that experience, I think it's like part of what we're supposed to be giving too, is like to be able to create that and then have it transcend. But I mean, I've been to a ton of places and I take wine home and I'm like, do you remember sitting in there and it was cozy and like we
Wow,
were in
that's
this
so
tasting
cool.
room in
Mhm.
Oregon. We were in this back room. It was like a greenhouse. It was so cool. There was a fire pit and all these couches and chairs, and we were like kind of tucked in, and it was really cozy. And we're drinking wine, and we brought wine home, and it was good. But as we're sitting there, we're like, man, do you remember just like how it felt to sit there and we had this and like that? It's really cool to be able to take the feeling of a place with you after you leave. Like that's really cool. And I think that maybe that is not as explored as it should be.
Mhm. Yeah, and you're right. It can absolutely work in reverse, right? Which is you set the stage, you give people an amazing experience, and your Pinot Grigio may be as good as, or maybe even slightly not as good as somebody else's, but they take it home and they've got that emotional attachment to it, and it will, because it brings them back,
Mhm.
and now it's special to them, right? Um, yeah, it's you pull on the heartstrings, right? And you want, man, be present in the moment, right?
Mm.
Like take that when you're in those places, like just take a second, put the phone down and just look around and breathe for a second,
Mhm.
That's the
and
best
just and
advice
take it in.
ever. That is the best advice ever. It's so hard to be present these days because we have so many distractions. And, I love that I can have my phone with me and I can work anywhere. It untethers me from a desk, which is wonderful. And that's super creative and good. But sometimes it can be a little bit of an albatross because you're paying attention
Yeah.
to it when you should be sort of in the moment, as you said. I love that. And I
Well,
think
even
even
like if you
you can create
no,
your
go ahead.
own cool space at home. Like maybe it
Mhm.
inspires you to turn the lights down a little or, do something fun at home that makes you kind of remember the place you loved when you had that wine or that coffee. I think that's possible.
Mhm.
I think too, like we talked about this, right? Like this is back to the vibe thing is like when you walk in, people are kind of looking for that like Instagrammable place. But how many
Mm.
people do you see go into a place and they're already like this as soon as they walk in? Like you're not even viewing it through your eyes anymore. You're viewing it through a lens. So like when we go into places, like I never pull my phone out. I'm like, I just want to look. Like I just want to like feel what the vibe is. I want to be in here. Like if it's, swanky or jazz or if it's this or if it's industrial, like
Yeah.
I want to be able to see it. And then if I feel like I want to take a picture or something, I will. But how many people do you see come in and the first thing is this? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
It's
not
like
like,
being at a concert. A lot of times people watch a
yeah.
concert through their phone, and I just can't do it. Maybe I'm old and I'm used
Yeah.
to not having a phone at a concert, and I like that. I don't
Or
want to look
or
at
it's or it feels safer for them. You know what I
it.
mean? It's
Mhm.
Well,
and we're not, I
that's
don't,
a
I'm
good
not
thought,
we're
maybe.
trying to get into the minds of younger
Or
generations
they
on this
want
one. We do
they
that
wanna
enough.
keep it, but it's never gonna be very good. I always
Right.
wonder if people watch it afterwards. Do they really watch all that stuff?
Yeah. Like, what do you do with it
'Cause does it
afterward? I
sound
don't
real
know.
good? I don't know.
You know what? It's that storage facility filled with boxes of like,
It
I'll save this
is.
for a later time that you never get
Hmm.
to, right?
It all comes
What
back to
are we
boxes.
saving, and what are we
Yeah,
saving? I know, I'm fascinated by
exactly.
that. Especially as I
Well,
look
I
around
gotta
my
say,
studio and go, "What am I saving in here? This is too much stuff."
well, I mean, it's for the next show, right? Where you've got to fill like, you know, 3 times the amount of the space in the studio, right, for it. So, um, this is sort of like, chicken soup for the creative soul, right? I
Mhm.
mean, this has been a lot of fun, and it's also really cool for us because it is a Friday, and we've got a weekend in front of us, and so hopefully there's time for, I think, all of us to maybe practice a little bit of what we preach.
Mhm.
Get out of the comfort zone. Spend some time on yourself, get creative, get all up in your
Absolutely, I think
feels.
being alone is a key. It's hard to be alone, a lot of people don't like to be alone anymore, and there's so many things going on at once, but I think being alone is the key. If you ask me, like, any of the times I've been most inspired, it's usually because I'm by myself or
I agree.
watching or even in public, but still by myself, and
Mhm.
being okay with that. 'Cause being okay with being by yourself is a good thing.
No, it is. It's important. It's important to be able to learn how to enjoy that. Um, any upcoming projects besides our kick-ass coffee project that we're working on that you
Yeah,
wanna
that's
plug?
gonna be the best one.
Right.
Yeah,
Eye
I'm
Gallery
going
goes until the end of this month, right? You've got till
Yes,
the
yeah.
31st?
Yep. I'm going to London for 2 months. I'm going to be doing a project that I have people purchasing time, like days, where they can pay and I'll do art for them that day that they will
Oh, so
eventually get when I get back.
cool.
And it's gonna be sort of a social media exchange and dialogue also. I really wanted to create something that would be more interactive in terms of art. So I'm working on that and a couple of other projects for next year.
Oh, that's
That's
so
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I can't wait. And it'll be fun to be in London because that's a whole different, maybe I'll find my next favorite coffee shop or, dive bar.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hope.
hopefully anyone who's listening to the podcast will follow you on Instagram. We'll make sure to connect you through all of the appropriate
Yeah,
channels to the
Instagram
pod.
is great. If you're interested in getting involved in the London project, I can give you all the information.
That's awesome. Well, Natalie, this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited that you and I continue to get to work together on another project. So this podcast isn't just sort of like, you just one shot here for us to get together and talk
Oh,
creatively. And we've
thank
got
you
a lot
so
more on
much.
the
I
horizon.
was honored to be asked. This is my first podcast, and I'm really excited because I
Well,
love
so this will be good. This is good practice for London too, because
Mhm.
you'll be interacting with folks
Yeah,
in a
yeah, and
different
I
way.
would love to do more podcasts, so I'm excited. I love this. This is great. You made it easy, guys.
Season 2.
Well, thanks. Thanks. Yep. Yeah.
Season
Moving into
2.
season 2. Yep.
Season
Yeah. We got a few more in this season. We're going to wrap up at 20 and then we'll launch season 2.
Oh,
But
fantastic. I'll
yeah,
share. I'll share with everybody. You'll get more people for sure.
please, please do. Please do. Natalie Hope McDonald, thanks again for joining us. Everybody get out there today and flex your creative muscle a little bit. Grab a cup of coffee, go for a run, take a shower, think about ways that you can make the world more exciting and vibrant with your own personal ideas. Uh, all right. Until next time, everybody, take care.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for strategy sessions. Please follow, comment, like, and subscribe at Thirsty Bandit Co.